it's very clear that Bob McEwan left a wonderful legacy for his alma mater. And I think it's important to recognize that that legacy continues. And nobody has continued that legacy or meant more to that legacy than my next presenter. It's my privilege to talk about legacy, to present Dorrie Delano Bessette, class of 1969.
Some people say, can you hear me? I say, can you see me? Okay, so, the legend of Bob McEwan, or the legacy of Bob McEwan. Where do I begin? Look around this room, and I see his legacy. I see all the banners, witness the dedication that honored the man upstairs who did over 40 musicals, all the Christmas pageants and annual alumni shows. All of these things are the obvious things. But Mr. McEwan's legacy goes far beyond that. Many of you know Mr. McEwan was a smooth-talking devil. He could convince anyone they would be fabulous if they just took that first step and signed up for the musical. And I don't know anyone who ever regretted taking that first step. He instilled in all of us a sense of responsibility, perseverance, hard work, humility. You don't see that a lot. There were no divas in Mr. McEwan shows, and if you were, you weren't in them very long. Teamwork, knowing the chain of command, appreciation for those who helped us, respect for tradition. He taught us that our school was more than a drama department, and he encouraged us to go to as many sporting events as we could. He went to all the football games. He knew the football players, and they knew him. And that was a very smooth move on Mr. McEwan's part. Because once they knew him, and they grew to love him, then they'd join him on the stage. And that added a whole different fabric to how our shows were done. If they were playoff games, he would literally cancel rehearsals so that we would go. And I'd be saying, really, we can be careful. No, we'll be fine, we'll be fine. I'd like to take one moment to just share one personal thing about Bob. And that was how he instilled self-confidence, confidence in all of us once you hit that stage. He did it when I was here as a student. Then I left, and I went to school, graduated, and I became a professional singer for many, many years. I came back at the request of Deacon Joe to sing, to do one mass with the students, to play the guitar, lead them in song, one mass. So while I was here, who knew? Choir started. And about right after that, Mr. McEwan said to me, Dorrie, Mrs. Cassidy, after 26 years, has decided to retire. I thought, oh, that's too bad. Oh, Cassidy. Well, I think that you should be the music director. And I said, no. No way. I can't be a musical director. And this is a quote, and this is Bob McEwan. As far as I'm concerned, you can walk on water.
Aww.
When someone says that to you, I don't care if you're 14 or 50, it gives you the confidence to get the job done and to know that you can do it. When I tell you, I shouldn't have been doing it. I mean, I was a singer, and so that's what I got kids to do. I got kids to sing. But, you know, the Mrs. Cassidys of the world, they're in a special place on their own. But I came because Mr. McEwan told me I could do it. So that was My Fair Lady, that particular musical. So we'll talk about that later on. Mr. McEwan, let's see, finally, I would like to close by sharing this. The most important thing that Mr. McEwan instilled in all of us, and this was a subtle thing, and I don't even know if we realized it was happening at the time. The most important thing was his faith that he instilled in us. Today we get a lot of questions about what is Catholic identity? Are we keeping our Catholic identity? Mr. McEwan exemplified how a teacher and a director should do that in a drama program. We all knew Mr. McEwan went to the 4 o'clock Mass every Saturday in Stoughton. We all knew that we couldn't rehearse between 4 and 6 because he did go home and take care of his aunts and feed them dinner. We all knew he gave generously to any cause that came across Spellman. I bet all of you can picture him taking his wallet out and pulling out a 20 when everybody else was pulling out a buck. We all knew that nothing would be performed on that stage that was not in good taste. Mr. McEwan would not put up with anything like that. To the point we rewrote the words to Les Mis, he and I, and we had to submit them to the company to make sure it was okay. But he would not allow it. He loved his Latin Catholic songs, Panis Angelicus and Ave Maria. And finally, we all knew there was no performance going on that stage that would not be dedicated to Our Lady, as we always did the Memorare before every single program, and continue to do that. Coming in as his successor, all these pieces were firmly in place. Now, the challenge going forward is how do we keep doing that? How do we keep the Spellman drama program, which I'm telling you is different than any other program you will ever see in any other school because of the reasons I just told you and the man who set it up. How do we keep that going forward and keep his legacy alive? God bless you, Mr. McEwan. A little bit of the honorees, and we had this idea this year that we would kind of mix up the music with the honorees, kind of like the Kennedy Center Awards, only the Spellman Center Award. But our first award goes to a woman that I'm sure, I think probably everybody in this room knows. We've known her for years. I love it when she's here because she's one of the few who's older than me. All kidding aside. When we told Jane Westerlund she was going to be receiving this award, she said, well, why? Why would I be getting an award? Again, people behind the scenes have no idea how much we rely on them to do so many things. And for all the ad drives, and for all the typing, and for all the begging for money, and corralling the students, and all of those things that Jane does with a smile on her face all times, and to help keeping this drama program all together, I would like to bring up Jane Westerlund.
Big thank you. So huge that I would never be able to give the thank yous to everyone that needs to be thanked. I'd like to thank my husband who put up with all this for 26 years. And for my sons who I wasn't there to cook supper and et cetera, et cetera. Now I only work part-time, so it's awesome. But to Bob McEwan, to Kay Cassidy, to Janet Madigan, to all those who built us up, especially to Dorrie Bessette, who couldn't be a better friend, and to Sister Thomasine, Dot Lynch, and now Paul Kelly, for their support, just to put up with me.
Okay, now without any further ado, I'd like to present our first medley, and it is from My Fair Lady. So just going to move this, and we'll be starting right out.